Welcome back. This is part 4 in managing leadership anxiety. So, congratulations are in order. You're a leader. Maybe you've stepped up to a position that has leadership as a part of it. Maybe you've gotten a broader scope of leadership. Maybe you've been promoted and now you're wondering what the heck happened to you. Maybe you've been a leader for quite some time and your title and responsibilities have changed, but everywhere you go, you end up being a leader. And so here we are in a series on managing your anxiety and then helping others around you that you lead manage their anxiety. In a sea in which we're swimming, that the level of anxiety has gone way up in this sea. And so here we are trying to address this in ways that maybe none of us have really ever had to address it. And it's here to stay for a while, and it's the result of connectivity, and it's a result of the fact that we live in a fear industrial complex, and that we have a whole bunch of folks in the workforce who've never really had to break a sweat, who've never been told no to, and live at a higher level of entitlement than ever before. And I don't say that in a judgmental and critical way. I'm just trying to observe what's going on around us. Now, it's not everybody. It's just enough that it can make your leadership really, really challenging. So you know that you're always going to have to manage anxiety. It is now a given. It doesn't mean that you're going to always be anxious. And it doesn't mean that you will, if you get anxious about something, you're going to stay anxious for weeks on end. You're going to learn to manage it and manage it quickly. But it does mean that it's now part of the sea in which we swim. It's part of the air that we breathe. And there's no sign, there's no trends, there's nothing out there that suggests that it is going to abate. We're just going to need to live in the storm of this anxiety and do it well. So, congratulations, you're a leader, and you're a leader in this kind of setting. It's going to be hard, and you know that, but it will likely not be hard like you expected it to be. It's possible, if you've been in the saddle for quite some time, that it isn't really what you expected. You've probably learned, and if you haven't, it will happen quite quickly, that the hardest part, the most difficult part about leadership, or management, or supervision, or influence, whatever you like to call it, is overcoming your own psychology. All leaders that I know and love and work closely with, and I put myself in the same category, have at least these 10 common experiences. And if you're in the saddle for more than just a couple of years, and if you're a part of something worthy, you are going to have some or all of these experiences. I've had them, you're going to have them, or versions of them. And I've been in some form of leadership for over 40 years. And I've learned a few things because I've seen a few things. like the commercial that's out there about Farmers Insurance, I think it is. We've learned a few things because we've seen a few things. Well, here I am way over on the other end of my leadership career. Hopefully I got a whole lot more ahead of me, but boy, there's a lot behind me. So I've learned a few things, and I'd like to share these with you. And the reason I share them in this series is because they are things that can cause deep stress and deep anxiety. And if you're not prepared for them, and if you've not practiced the discipline of noticing it and naming it and navigating it with a mission and with a team that's bigger than you and outside of you, if you've not practiced those things, when these dynamics hit you or these experiences hit you, they could swamp your boat. All right, you ready? They're hard, so stick with me, and I have an encouraging word at the end. Here are those common experiences. If we expect them, and we give them their proper meaning, and we anticipate and maybe even plan our response to them, we're going to be able to manage our own anxiety a little bit better. And we're going to help others around us manage their anxiety when they occur. Here's the first very common experience. We're not ready. We are rarely ready as leaders, if ever ready. We're rarely prepared to step up to leadership when we need to, either up to the next level of leadership or into leadership in the beginning. We are rarely ready. If we wait until we're ready, we will never step in and lead. Here's the second one. We're going to get burned. We're going to come to love our team. We're going to love the mission. We're going to love our enterprise. We're going to love the successes that we've had. But we're going to get burned by our team. And we might even be wounded by it, perhaps even deeply wounded by it. And it's likely that that wound will resonate and refer back to other kinds of relational wounds you may have had in your life from your family of origin or from early startup kind of work that you've done. You're going to get hurt and you're going to get burned. There's no way to avoid it. There's a way to prepare for it and not end up a burnt out, bitter hulk of a human being who hates other people. Here's our third very common experience. We lead organizations that succeed by virtue of their velocity of change and their effectiveness of change. And you as a leader and I as a leader will need to change more than our organization changes, than our team changes. What got me here will not get me there. I'm going to be on the edge of new every week and every month. I'm going to be in situations where I feel like I'm at the bottom of the heap. I'm the novice. I don't know my head from a high rock. We're going to have to change a lot. And we're going to wonder if we can do it again and again and again. Here's the fourth common experience that all my dear leadership friends have had that can set our anxiety forest ablaze. We've got some strengths. We've got a particular set of skills. We've got some strengths. But those strengths can work against us. Our strengths will also be our weaknesses. This is sometimes called the shadow side of our strength. For example, if your strength is analysis, if you're very, very analytical and very detailed, the weakness of that strength is that you may not move without all of the details. And that if there's change that happens because you missed a detail, it might wreck you. Sometimes you have to move into the undiscovered future where there's no way you can analyze what will happen. You cannot accurately predict what will happen in the marketplace, in the economy, in society, with your team. You can guess, you can be okay at it, but if you're hyper analytical, a wonderful competency and skill set to have, you may find yourself paralyzed. Another example of this is that if you're a high drive person, that's me, I'm a high drive person, like Jack Russell Terrier in search of a hot dog, but the Jack Russell Terrier is also on cocaine. I'm a high drive kind of person. You might find yourself to be very impatient with people who are just moderate drive kind of people, who actually like taking days off, who on a weekend can just relax and stare out the window or something like that. And you might find yourself very impatient with people like that. High drive people also tend to be folks who blow past opportunities and inputs until they simply cannot be ignored. A couple of examples there. Here's a third example maybe of your strength becoming your weakness. Still stay your strength, still use your strength. I need to continue to use my strength, but I have to have one little bit of an eye open to realize that maybe my strength can cause some problems on the other side of it. So manage it that way. Maybe your strength is you're very, very creative. You just like to create new ideas all the time. And as a result, perhaps you don't value the old, the tried, the true approach. Maybe you're a perfectionist. Maybe you just love things to be just right and perfect. That's great. There are places that require that. But you're definitely going to find yourself not even trying sometimes when you know perfection can't be achieved. You will procrastinate, which is the dark side of perfectionism, and it can paralyze you. All right. So here's the fifth common experience that you and I will have as leaders that can just set our anxiety on high. Our time is not our time. Our time, actually as leaders, most of it belongs to other people. It's not ours. Some of it is ours, but less of it than what we thought. Dear friend right now going through a significant challenge in the organization that she leads. And as a result of that, she is on and available during this whitewater rafting that organization is going through. She's on and available no matter where she is 24/7. And this is the kind of organization with a bunch of high energy people who are calling her and texting her and wanting to meet with her and wanting answers from her 24/7. It's not her time as a leader. She gives her time. Now, I'm not saying it should always be that way, but I'm saying that the reality of it is that you and I, as leaders, will have constraints on our time like no one else has got. Here's the sixth one. You and I will be selfish. We're going to wrestle with selfishness, and sometimes we're going to lose. Sometimes we're just going to say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of giving, and I want someone to give to me, and we're going to sit back and go, nyeh, and we're going to expect people to come and feed us grapes, and we're going to want to take that, and if you're not careful with that, and the anxiety that creates in you, it will wreck you. But you're going to be selfish sometimes. Get ready for it. Get ready, plan for what you're going to do when you feel yourself in that mode. Here's the seventh common experience that we as leaders have. If we're in the saddle very long, trying to accomplish something significant, we're going to be wrong. Now, in my case, when I'm wrong deeply wrong. And it's very expensive when I'm wrong. Now, over time, I've learned to be wrong in less expensive and less risky ways, but that's not natural for me. I dream big, I do big things, and I like wonderful things to happen, and I'm all in, and I invest big time, and sometimes I am just flat out wrong for all sorts of reasons. And I don't like being wrong. And being wrong costs other people. It can cost them dearly sometimes. You're going to experience that if you haven't already. And the fear of being wrong can create anxiety in you that will paralyze you. But then when we are wrong and we don't manage that well, we can create anxiety in other people. Then the next one is that we're going to be lonely. So we're all going to fight with loneliness because we do tend to get there first in our thought and get there first in our plans. And that's what leadership is. Leadership isn't everything, but it's the first thing. So we tend to get there first. And the way we think about things and what we do, there's often no one who can really understand, or at least we believe that. That might be more to the point. Because we fight with loneliness, we often make it worse by believing that we are the only one, when in fact we're not. And that loneliness can isolate us and set us up for a really tragic experience. It's okay to feel alone once in a while, but remember, you're not actually alone. And if you put that together with being tired, I'm tired and alone, then you might convince yourself that I don't have the energy to reach out to someone and find out if I even am alone. You're not alone. Here's the ninth one. You're going to be abandoned. The experience that every leader I know, including myself, has had, we will be abandoned. Or it will feel like abandonment. It'll be so convincing. It'll feel so much like abandonment. People that we care about are just not going to like us. They're not going to like the direction we're going. We're not going to have their approval. They're going to fold their arms and they're going to dip out, and we relied on them for a long time. And here's the last one. Just here to encourage you, right? Here's the last one. You're going to want to quit. You're going to want to quit. Maybe you're going to go through a season where you're going to want to quit. I've noticed, I live up here in the Pacific Northwest, out on the Olympic Peninsula, and in the wintertime, the sun rises at 11 o'clock in the morning, and it sets at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm exaggerating, but not by much. And when the sun is up, it's really not up. It's behind 30,000 feet of clouds, and the rain comes in sideways, and it's just dismal, right? If I ever want to quit, that's kind of usually the times that I'm going to want to quit. There have been other times too, but I haven't quit. But I sure want to from time to time. And not today. Don't want to today. So, there you go. There are 10 experiences that are pretty common to us as leaders. And if you're good and getting better at managing your own anxiety or stress, whatever word you want to use to call it here in this series, then these experiences are not going to actually swamp your boat. The one thing that leaders do that results in their work being harder than it needs to be is to accept the loneliness and isolation that leadership can bring. To believe that lie. They don't invest in relationships with a small number of people, themselves who are also leaders, who really know them. Then when these challenges arise, surfing on a wave of anxiety, their impact of the challenges is much greater than it needs to be. So do you have anyone who deeply knows you? Someone who is for you? Who cares more about you than about your feelings or your momentary twitches of emotion and anxiety? Well, if you don't, it's time to reach out. Time to start building those relationships now, before these experiences are happening, because you're going to need them. Just saying. All right, friends, there are some thoughts about managing leadership anxiety, your team's anxiety. I got lots of thanks to folks who helped me think through this and have been really effective in coaching me along the way over these years, and I give them all kinds of credit. So, dear friend, keep up the good work. We need you to succeed.